Hello, and welcome to the Trophy Trust, your weekly podcast for PlayStation Trophy Hunters. I'm one of your hosts, the Dazil, but you can call me Daz. And with me this evening, I'm joined by my fellow Trophy Hunters. Uh, right here, we have the Vectronic, or Vec.
Hello.
I'm also joined by Claire88,
How you doing, guys?
and also DK Shadow.
Hello, hello.
Evening, guys. How is everything in the world of the gamers? Everyone okay?
Incredible. Incredible right now.
You guys okay? Claire, how you doing?
Yeah, very good. Mopped up a few easy
DK?
platinums. Yeah.
DK, you good?
Yeah, all good. Moved a few weeks ago, so a bit busy, and started a new job. So yeah, I guess
But you're here
extra
now.
busy, but all good. And here now, yes.
Okay, well, let's just kick off. Let's just get straight into the business. What has everyone been playing this week? And we're going to start off with Vec. Let's start off with you. What have you been playing this week? Any interesting
Well,
platinums?
yeah, I just got the platinum for Assassin's Creed Revelations for the PlayStation 3.
Ah,
The multiplayer was a hell of a grind, but I got some help from one of my fellows. Got in a private match, popped the trophy immediately after playing a one match, and it's really good. I would actually go back and play on the PS4 if I buy the Exia collection. Besides that, I've been playing also Downwell, which is a new PS Plus game, and it it's simply such a good indie game.
that's on
I
PlayStation Vita, isn't it? Where you have to hold the Vita in a
y-
vertical orientation,
yeah,
correct?
yeah, you have to. It's like you play it like a phone app, but yeah, it's also on the phone. But you can also try to move it with the Vita, and it's like you're playing a mobile game, but it's not. It's just a video game. And I enjoy it a lot. And to be honest, you should definitely try it out. But I would say that one thing is clear: don't play it if you're expecting a full-fledged release or like a big indie game title. No, it's just go straight down, shoot baddies, and get every single item and collectible. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Okay, cool. Just a simple game to sink a few hours into. Nothing too strenuous. More like you said, describe it as a mobile app. And so, is that everything you've been played this week so far?
Besides a bit of Hearthstone, but that's more on PC, and on the PS3, I've been just playing those for a while.
Okay, okie dokie. All right then. Well, let's move on to the next one. DK, you're up next. What have you been playing this week?
I've been a bit busy, as I mentioned, so I haven't been playing much, but I have been diving into Pata-pata Remastered this week,
Uh huh.
which it's my favorite PSP franchise, and so I've been waiting what feels like a lifetime for this game to hit a home console, and yeah, finally playing it on the TV is fantastic, and it's still just as fun as it was back on the PSP.
Does it fit
Um,
well to playing on a home console, being it was originally designed for the PSP, a handheld console?
yeah, it does. I mean, it's technically a fairly straightforward, simple game in that you're kind of a god, and you have to guide some tribesmen, some Patapons, um, through various levels. So you use the face buttons just to play music to the rhythm that flashes on the screen and that's playing, and then you kind of have your characters or your Patapons attack, move forward, defend, that kind of thing, just to kill enemies, collect loot, and gear up. So it's a straightforward game and not too difficult to platinum either. It's a bit grindy though, so it's not a fast platinum, but it's not too difficult. So it should be. I should have that platinum within maybe even by next week.
That's cool. It's good to know that it's been adjusted to regular home television gameplay. I had a little bit of trouble with Loco Roco. It didn't feel quite right to me because that was a PSP game originally. It kind of felt weird because I played it on the PSP and playing it on the controller felt a little bit surreal, but I digress. There's no need to go too much into that. Is that everything that you've played so far this week? All up to date?
Yeah, I mean, later this weekend I'll be playing, finishing up the last of the Ghost Recon Wildlands DLC,
Okay.
and that's about all I've been diving into this week.
Okie dokie. Claire, how are you doing this week for the old trophy hunting?
Yeah, well, I've just been sticking to my normal schedule of I usually have one really long game that I work on in the background, and then when I feel like playing something different, I knock out a smaller one. So I could say that my two long games, one of them's coming to a close. That was Final Fantasy 12 HD collection.
Yeah, nice.
Um, Big fan of it because I did it 100% back in the PlayStation 2 when there was no trophies. So
Yeah, I recall you talking about that.
yeah, it was easy enough to go back over, and it was a pure delight from the start to the finish. I still have one trophy left. It's very, very grindy, but like I'm actually kind of saving it for a little bit so I can go back to it and still enjoy it a little bit more.
Hmm.
Other than that, I've been playing that space game, Elite Dangerous. I was going to wait until it had VR support, PlayStation VR support, but I
Uh-huh.
couldn't. I couldn't wait because I play it on PC. But the platinum for that is 200 hours or more. So, like I said, I do like to jump out of those type of games and jump into smaller games. I
Yeah,
finished up
I
The
can.
Walking Dead season 2.
No platinum for that, unfortunately, which makes
No,
it the odd one in the series for the Telltale games of at least recent years, and especially of the Walking Dead series, seeing as one and three seasons one and three of Walking Dead have a platinum, but two's the odd one out, unfortunately.
yeah, like I really, really enjoyed the first season, and I still think it's the best Telltale game I've ever played, even though I played most of the other ones. I didn't play season 2 because I'm a jealous trophy hunter. If it didn't have a platinum, I didn't really want to play it. But I gave I gave in because I realized a friend of mine said he's going to give me the disc of season 3, and I have to
Uh,
save from season 1
it
on
is worth it
PS4
though.
done.
It is a good,
Yeah, definitely.
enjoyable
Like
experience.
I've just finished it. It's been fantastic. It's just there's no platinum. It's very disappointing, but like I'm really, really glad I finished it, and I'm looking forward to playing the rest of the games.
Well, I can relate to you in the sense that big games and small games, it's always good to have like something different to mix it up. It's very easy to get burnt out on a game that's 100 or so hours. It can kind
Yeah.
of demoralize you, but I can understand you changing to smaller games. I personally play one game at a time, but between the big games, I always try and go for something smaller or a simpler or even different genre just to mix it up because it's all about having fun and staying entertained, really, isn't it?
That's pretty much it because like I did experience a period of my trophy hunting career, let's say, where I found myself going off from it being fun and enjoyable to something different. It was only a very short amount of time. It's not something I kept my mind onto or anything like that, but I just realized that there has to be a balance, and there's like trophy burnout is a very, very real thing. Um, and I went through it for a little bit, and I think other people can go through it. And I think it's important just to find your own balance, whatever that is. For me, I love working on like really, really lengthy games that I know that I love.
Mm.
I don't the platinum length or the grind has never put me off. But I have to break it up with smaller games because if I played every game as a 100-hour JRPG, I'd just be ruined.
Yeah. Okay. If that's everything you've done for this week, I might as well have a go and tell you guys what I've been playing.
Yeah, what have you been
For the
playing?
Yeah, what have you been fancying?
well, from the last week or so, I'll just start backwards in my last sort of 2, 3 games that I've played in within the space of about a week or so. Just to, I picked up Time Machine on play. Sorry, excuse me. Time Machine VR. It's for PlayStation VR, but it's also available on other platforms. But that's not worry about that for here. Um, PlayStation VR. Um, I enjoy it. I'm a fairly early adopter of it. Haven't usually had too much motion sickness with it. Time Machine VR did give me a little bit of queasiness, but I think that's my fault. I played it maybe a little bit too long, longer sessions, because it does encourage you to take breaks in between each level. Pretty fun educational game. It works well. Crashed a few times on me, but luckily didn't corrupt anything. I'd
Yeah.
say pick it up in a sale for sure. Pretty easy platinum. It's just basically replay levels again and go back and do a kind of call it new game
I don't,
plus, if you will. You can go back with abilities that you've unlocked to study more. Uh, well, the actual context of the game is you're a time traveler, go back in time to prehistoric times to research dinosaurs or prehistoric creatures, and you
that's
acquire
cool.
new abilities for your little submarine that you're in. It's first person, as most VR games are, and you float around underwater and explore and approach massive prehistoric creatures up close, and you scan them and do kind of X-rays and well, not X-rays, but like you can scan them and look into their like bone structure and their organs and just gather data. And it's actually quite educational, really. I learned a thing or two about prehistoric creatures, but it can just make you a little bit queasy just because of the nature of the way you roam freely in the game. Like a lot of VR games, you can snap to certain areas and it minimizes motion sickness. But yeah, that was that. It was fairly enjoyable. It was one of the first PSVR games I ever noticed on the store, but I wasn't prepared to shell out a lot of money for it. But it was on the sale recently. I picked it up and I thought it was worth the price. I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was considerably cheaper.
Yeah,
Next one,
Okay.
yeah, next
I
one I played this week was also from the sale. It's been out a little while, but Oxenfree. Very interesting game. Took me by surprise actually. The style of it, very even though it's ambiguous when it's set. I think it is set in modern day, but it's very 80s, very Stranger Things vibe to it. The music is all kind of um, the kind of 80s synthesizer type music. It's very creepy, atmospheric. It's got a very nice art style to it. Basic premise of the game is a bunch of kids go to an island to sort of just hang out, get away for a weekend, and sort of spooky things start happening on the island, like paranormal things. And it's really good. It is a straightforward platinum. It's pretty easy. I messed up though because it has a kind of karmic system somewhat. There's a good ending and a bad ending. You know, you're either a good person, friendly, or you're a bit of a douche to people. Um, but I liked it. It was good. It was a little bit grindy because I had to do one more playthrough than necessary. But that's my fault. I missed one single line of negative dialogue. Um, but good. I definitely recommend it. It was in the sale as well. I like picking up things in the sale. I like to wait out and get some good bargains. I like to buy quite a few games at once and sort of, binge on the bargains.
I
And
also bought it in the sale, but I haven't played it, so it's in my backlog.
well, you're in for a treat. It's a really good game. Really enjoyed it.
Yep.
And currently playing, but not platinumed yet, but probably tomorrow if everything goes well. Rhyme, which I understand you recently platinumed, Claire, a few weeks ago.
I did, yes. It's one of those games I enjoyed. By chance, I just got some free credit, so that game was just out, and I spoiled myself. Just by wanting to support the developers, like with full price game. It was very cool. Now, that is the type of game that I love. I got a very journey kind of vibe to it, but if it seemed like a lot more fleshed out. It is a journey. I think you'd agree. It's a journey from like the start to the finish. But one thing I loved about it was not only was its artwork and style, but it's pretty much I'd never seen an ounce of text in the game from the start to the
No,
finish of
yeah.
it. There's no HUD, there's no interface, there's no overlay, nothing like that. It's a great experience, and also it reminded me a lot of The Last Guardian as well. But
Yeah, it has this very Team Ico vibe to it, but it's like Team
yeah,
Ico meets Journey. It also the art style reminds me of a little tiny bit of Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, that Studio Ghibli kind of
yeah,
art style, just very slightly. It's probably the color palette that does it for me.
I saw
Yeah, great game.
great game. Yeah,
Very
would
very
what
recommend
was the
it.
name?
whimsical.
What was the name again? The name of the game?
Rhyme.
Rhyme,
Oh,
Rime.
oh, Rhyme. Okay.
It previously was going to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive, but then they announced it
Yes.
was going to come to different platforms, which of course,
Yeah.
like I said, doesn't bother me in the slightest.
No,
Anything that supports more developers to make more games like that is good, in my opinion.
it's
I mean,
looking
Mm,
pretty
it,
straightforward in regards to trophies as well. Just a couple of replays for collectibles, really, off the beaten track.
the
Yeah, what?
game was actually initially meant to be Xbox exclusive, but Microsoft dropped it, and then PlayStation picked it up and they dropped it, and now it's multi-platform. So it went through quite a journey.
Glad it survived because it was a good game. Glad it got to the
yeah.
end of it and we all got to play it. Because there's been a good few games that have been shelved and some people have never played. But I was definitely very glad
It,
to get to the end of it and get to play it. I think it's a great experience. Like Dad said, it's an easy platinum, and one of the best things is once you finish it at the very end, you have a chapter select, and the chapter select tells you what collectibles you're missing in that chapter are.
Always good in the
So
game when the
yes,
chapter select tells you you're missing collectibles because
yeah,
any of us here know as trophy hunters, collectibles is a bit of a chore. And when the game makes it very easy to find where you're missing one, credit to the developers
yeah.
who
yeah.
take that
Yeah,
into
like
consideration.
there's lots of different collectibles to do in the game, like lots of different styles of them, and
Mm,
the level select also shows exactly what you're missing. So if you're missing like one of the toys or one of the artifacts or one of the
yeah.
round circular things, and like it's very very trophy friendly in that way. And like I said, a credit to the developers for including that kind of stuff because we all
I'm
know that a hassle.
I'm looking at the screenshots right now, and it looks beautiful.
It is.
Honestly, I should take that out because I actually like Abzu and Journey. So if you're telling me it's like a Journey-esque game,
It
I
is.
I will pick it up. It
Fa-
looks beautiful.
Fairly
Mm.
simple puzzles. Like it's not like The
Oh yeah.
Witness. You know what I mean?
Very clever puzzles
Yeah.
as well. But once it clicks, it's there. Very clever perspective ones,
It's an
usage of
emotional journey, I think, and
mm,
like the story, if you complete it and you know the ending, I think you'll probably
yeah.
agree. So, but I would
Oh,
highly recommend it as a trophy hunter, and if you're a fan of those type of emotional games, like
Yeah.
thought-provoking
Okay.
kind of games. So,
yeah,
Alrighty
okay.
then. Well, if that's everything that we've played this week, I think we should move on to some gaming news from last week or so. Um, is there any particular one that anyone wants to start off with? Anyone wants to jump in and have a crack at one of the topics we've got?
Hmm? Well, give
well,
me a minute.
one of the topics I wanted to cover now, when we actually speak about it's a bit about news. I think we're probably going to spend about 2 or 3 minutes talking about the news, and then maybe 10 minutes ranting about why it was news in the first place and what's going to happen to it afterwards. But of course, that's the Grand Theft Auto Online, in case people didn't know, had posted its best ever results. Rockstar also said that it was higher than they had ever anticipated, and that they're going to continue the lifespan of Grand Theft Auto 5 Online past their original server dates and stuff like that. Now, that to me is not good news, because
Well,
that
it's
means
absolutely a cash cow, isn't it? And to
that's the
think
problem.
that, like, with the last generation of GTA 4, they would extend the life of the game with story DLC, and there was originally at least hinting at story DLC for this game for GTA 5 because I remember seeing one of the actors from it tweeting on their Twitter of them a picture of them in mocap saying something along the lines roughly of "Oh, here I am again" or "Here we go again" or something, and getting people excited. But
No.
obviously they canned it because it seems that GTA Online is bringing them in the mega money with all the cosmetic and the events they seem to hold, and it's got a
It's
massive
just,
community.
yeah, it's
That's
crazy
sad.
because it is sad because the crazy thing is like we all know the Grand Theft Auto sales wise, physical sales wise or whatever, like the entire just the game, not the online segment of it is phenomenal and it's just crazy. It's unheard of in the gaming world and probably won't be repeated unless another Grand Theft
Mm,
Auto does it.
Yeah.
But like they've made enough money that way, but they're also making similar money through the online interface and like
not a fan of the online. As
no,
coming
no.
at this from as a trophy hunter, it was an absolute chore to do, and I really hated it. And it took me ages. Absolutely, it took me the best part of a month to grind up to level 100, and by the end, I was incredibly sick of it. I'd had enough, and
I was
I
lucky. I
kind of
played it. I played with a clan of people at the very start when all the exploits were
yeah,
there. It
lucky
only
you.
took like 2 weeks for me to get up to, but and I had millions. But like the thing that depresses me is that Rockstar have such a good pedigree of DLC. Like I mean, I think a lot of people would agree that the Undead Nightmare from Red Dead Redemption was a fantastic stab at
Oh,
DLC.
thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
You know,
It's funny you should mention Red Dead because it makes me wonder about the future of Rockstar titles when I think
that's
about
the
GTA
argument.
Online.
Is exactly like if they just see that this online thing is gonna continuously be a cash cow over years and years, every single day, rather than a single piece of DLC they're gonna release. They're gonna focus their internal teams on whatever it makes the most amount of money. And I'm worried that that's
Mm,
gonna
Mm.
that's gonna influence the Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, that makes me sad to think that in order to probably platinum Red Dead Redemption 2, it's probably going to require about a month of online play to get
Every
through it.
yeah.
Rockstar's game like that. If you don't get on
Oh,
a Rockstar game at the launch, you've
Mm.
missed
yeah.
out. Not that you've missed out, but you've reduced yourself to seeking boosting groups to help you get involved in the community to get to patch up whatever's left. You know what I mean? Like I can't earn Red Dead and I can't earn Grand Theft Auto 4 because of insane multiplayer requirements trophies.
I'm
Hmm.
optimistic with Red Dead Redemption 2. Actually, thinking about it, GTA Online works because it's more on a real time setting of 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 Los Santos, which is a cover based island, and you can just explore with your friends. But thinking about it, open world, online multiplayer based around Red Dead Redemption, I fear it might. not work as well, but it would be interesting to see. I'm thinking more like it will be more match make like the first game, but I don't think it would stick around like in, but let's say in GTA 5's case, the online portion of the open world setting. I still think that Red Dead Redemption 2 was still more staying more true to its roots with the story.
I
And
don't know. It's hard to think because at the end of the day, as a lot of people, I don't know whether
That's
they forget.
artistic. That's artistic influence versus a person in a business suit saying, "I don't
Yeah,
care. That's
precisely.
500 million on stake, buddy. I don't care about your idea. I
That's
don't
what I
care
was
about
getting
your
at.
story."
People
yeah,
It
people
makes
seem
me
to
wonder
either.
though, depending on how far along Red Dead Redemption 2 was in its development when GTA Online really started taking off. Um, Maybe the fact that GTA Online does so well could potentially mean that Red Dead Redemption 2's single player is the online. Like it is an always online drop in, drop out kind of thing where people can just, kind of interrupt your gameplay unless you turn it off or something. Considering it would be kind of a mix between the two and ensure that everyone is introduced to the online, I guess, online facet of the GTA or the
Well, yeah,
Rockstar
precisely. I
games.
mean, look at Destiny. That's basically what you just described there. Destiny is
Exactly.
online. You
So
can do
it's
those
it's
things.
a proven formula. So instead of separating the single player, which I mean, a lot of people play games for the single player and move on. But if you give them single player and online at the same time, there's a very good chance that while they do the single player, they always do, they happen upon people that play online that they really enjoy playing with, and suddenly they stick around for another 100 hours instead of just doing story and moving on.
Yeah,
thinking
but
Yeah,
about it sounds like Westworld to me.
yeah.
I think we can all agree that this news from Rockstar is not good for our hopes of single player,
Well,
which
just
is
to
what we love.
finish on what I was going to say is people may not choose to acknowledge the fact, but this business well, it is literally money driven. It's a business. It's an entertainment business. So whatever the publisher wants, or the shareholders, or whoever's in charge of the bills, they're going to want something that brings in the cash. And if we're doing this whole thing now with huge online, Destiny, for example, and going forward as games as services, it's looking that way where everything is sort of built on an online infrastructure and you just join in with everyone else,
To me,
you know.
they've already shown that as well because, I mean, like I said, it's something like 80 million copies Grand Theft Auto sold. It's still like in the top five of every single chart I see every
Mm,
single week, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, those guys, the online is making so much money, they haven't bothered to make a single player for a single player DLC for a game that they know 80 million have access to. You know what I mean? Like, that's easy
because
money.
because the shark cards are literally $1 billion industry.
Yeah,
So obviously that's going to take precedent over anything else, and it
that's,
makes sense. Like there's a
yeah.
saying. I mean, it is about the money. So whatever works for the publishers ultimately, and for the shareholders in particular,
And
that's what they're going to do going
Uh,
forward.
it's happened in the industry
yeah.
before as well. And you can look, Valve have made some of the best single player games that have ever graced gaming, and they
Also,
just gave up once they made Dota and the other one that they do,
also,
CS:GO. Like, so I think a
also,
company's done it before. Sorry.
sorry. I also was thinking that maybe they didn't release any DLC story because they wanted to make it so that other, previous, how should I say this, previous generation console holders, PS3 and Xbox 360, also get that content. But I would see that they more moving towards the other system because the online portion on GTA 5 in the PS3 version is dead, literally dead. I don't see any
Mm,
new updates. Every single time I see like a gif for GTA 5's new updates, I see like, oh, they have a motorcycle that transforms into a jet for some reason. Okay, now this is just Saints Row 4. But and then you see the PS3, I try to log in, it's like there's nothing to it. So
I
I feel
understand
like
that I understand it came out in the PS3 and it was last generation's console, but to be honest, we're almost closer to the next generation than we were to the PS4 launch. So I'd understand why they wouldn't support Behold the
I mean,
platforms.
they officially stopped supporting PS3 for GTA Online last year, I think, like a year ago or
Yeah,
maybe more.
I think they
And
dropped.
but I mean, the fact that I mean, if 80 million people, well, not necessarily 80 million people, but 80 million copies were sold. So let's just a lot of people would have double dipped. So let's just say 50 million people, different people have the game, right? A lot of those will still be on last gen, which means a lot of those will probably not be spending any money or not any considerable amount of money online because there's no more content. And that begs the question if a lot of people, if millions and millions of people are still on last gen, wouldn't single player content have made sense because that would still have been on last gen, presumably. So all those people on last gen are not spending any money because there's nothing to spend money on,
I
and
agree, and
that's something they're losing out on by doing only online.
they also have the perfect setting. Like not only do they have the most talent developers with like a game that's on huge install base, but like they have the perfect story because like Grand Theft Auto 5, they could have just introduced Los Santos. It was a completely different area. That's all they had to make was that area. Or no, what? Sorry, what's the other area? And I think Los Santos is the main area. There's another
San
area.
Andreas.
Um, yeah, no, it is the city of Los Santos in sorry in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Yeah, 'cause there's a
Well,
different
anyway,
part to the city. So
I think we've talked GTA for long enough. I think we should talk about another sort of big, a good selling game that's been a bit of a blast from the past and has actually done better than anyone actually anticipated. And I'm talking about the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy.
yeah,
Um,
Mm.
that's kind of the opposite now because we're really hopeful because that's been doing so well here now. We're hope that we're gonna see some. We're gonna
New Crash Maze, new Crash games. I would like to
more
see
remasters as well. Yeah, that's what I hope.
CTR.
oh, definitely Crash Team Racing for sure. I think Activision took a little bit of a punt on this one, and it obviously paid off because it's sold really well, and
Yeah,
it's looking like the Bandicoot is alive and well again, and they're definitely going to pursue the avenue of making more games, but they can
they
definitely
will.
start off with Crash Team Racing, that's for sure. I think a lot of people want that, including myself.
Yeah, since they like we all know that the new Crash games, because I think we've all played it here. So the new Crash games are basically built on their new engine because they couldn't use any of the old stuff, so they had to remake everything from scratch. So that tells me that they have a game engine that they can make
Well,
new
the game
games on
engine
top
they
of.
used to create the Insane Trilogy is the same one they used to build the Skylanders games on. I recently saw some footage of like some really early prototype Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, uh, like incredibly early builds where the levels aren't even proper levels; they're just sort of like just test levels, and it's using the placeholders for some of the character models are not dissimilar to Skylander figures, characters, what have you. So they've taken what they've built for the Skylanders, which is now definitely wound down. I think they actually cancelled the last Skylanders game because I think the sort of Toys to Life thing has finally, it peaked and now it's fizzling away. And so they're using that technology they built for Skylanders, and they've put it to good use in bringing Crash Bandicoot back to life. And might I say, incredibly well. As a huge fan of Crash Bandicoot growing up, they've done an absolutely amazing job uh, recreating these games. The detail down to even the sound design. Even though the music and the sounds have been reworked slightly, they're still you can tell a lot of passion and
Certainly
just
was a lot of effort put
love
into it.
for it.
Yeah,
Sorry, say that again.
certainly was a lot of effort, and like you said, a lot of love put into it. Like it was
Oh,
done with care, so we can all be glad of that. You know, it would be terrible if the one effort that was put into Crash was a disappointment, but luckily it wasn't that. So
difficult though.
Yeah.
Staying on topic with trophy hunting, difficult. But I really enjoyed the challenge. A lot of people were making that comparison to Crash Bandicoot is like Dark Souls. I can't really speak to that because I haven't played Dark Souls. It's not really my kind of thing. Not really interested in it. But I can
Souls is
understand.
easier. You can summon another person in Souls.
Yeah, I can understand the frustration, the sort of
Play Demon Souls. Um,
just dying over and over.
uh, Thinking about Crash games, I would like them to see them make either a new IP or port some of the older games. Like, for example, I would like to see them porting the for PS2 classics to the PS4. Maybe either to Insanity or maybe a reworked version of Wrath of Cortex. Uh, something new and something interesting because Coco
I think they'll
works
do
like
new stuff, because to be honest, I never played those PS2 ones, and I
No,
think
me
the
neither.
nostalgia ones are the ones that they've already done. So if they're going to do anything, they'll do it as a new IP. To be honest, I think, yeah, because if you seen that Crash, you wouldn't be as likely to buy it if a new one was coming out. That's what I think.
that's true.
We can be hopeful that they do that, and we can also definitely be hopeful that it encourages them to start doing
It's just
Spyro.
crazy how much it's sold.
Yeah,
It's nostalgia. Nostalgia sells. It's
on one
like
platform.
I felt like such a well of emotion, such as when I first booted it up and heard the music again, the sort of reworked theme, the sort of remastered theme, and yeah, as I can't really say anything else about it really. I really enjoyed it. The difficulty was very challenging, and it's as you can see all over Twitter and with different memes and whatnot. It's really pissed a lot of people off how difficult it is because I think we're past that era now of where games control wise or level design wise are still finding their feet within the 3D space. Back then, when Crash Bandicoot was brand new, a brand new IP, now we're kind of spoilt with a really rich game design and clever mechanics, and we've kind of eased into it. With Crash Bandicoot, you're just thrown in straight away, and it's just die, 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 and just keep learning. And especially with the Insane Trilogy version of one, the jumping, it feels so heavy and clunky when you're moving Crash around, and that's really how games were back then. Like moving the character around, especially with that old D-pad, it was quite an ordeal to really move them through the 3D space and navigate. And depth of field as well wasn't too great on them old games either because of the lower resolution and just the way levels were designed. Did a lot of cheap deaths, which also made it into this game as well. If anything, I'd say they remastered it and they did too good a job of capturing what Crash Bandicoot 1 was like in terms of how difficult it was, especially some of the later levels, and then add time trials in on the top of it as well as that final kind of like hurdle. I mean, if you're not a trophy hunter or not interested in trophies, you could just play the levels and finish the game and enjoy it. But for people like us here who want to push to the limit and get those platinum trophies, that
Um,
it was a challenge.
one of the reasons Crash is so difficult, I would argue, is because that's how games were back then. And the reason they were that difficult is because when you look at a lot of them, they were kind of shallow. I'm not speaking of Crash specifically, but a lot of games back then weren't very long, or didn't have a lot to them. So they would have to be difficult to last longer. Otherwise, you would finish them in 5 days and trade them in. So they
Yeah,
made them difficult to make them last.
yeah.
Now, obviously, these days, because budgets of games are so massive, we don't have that problem anymore.
Mm,
No, games are rarely short. They rarely have almost nothing to them. So they don't have to be difficult to last. We have other ways of making games last. So it's just bringing back that thing that was hard because it had to be hard, kind of, to 2017. It's just something people are used to and people are kind of scared of.
that
But
kind of
clearly, they're
mentality.
not scared so much that they're not buying it, which is a good thing because like you were saying, it might bring forth new Crash games or other IP, Spiral, for instance, which I know a lot of people want. I know someone who really wants Croc to come back, that kind of thing. So it's interesting. I mean, the fact that I right now have Crash Bandicoot and Pata-pon installed on my PS4
Hmm.
is insane. I mean,
As I was
2017, man. It feels like 1997 almost.
just to add what you were saying about difficulty to fill out content, I was going to say that that mentality of game design, that's kind of reminiscent of arcades where they made it deliberately difficult for you to keep shoveling in coins to prolong the gameplay, so to speak. It's the same kind of thing, really, coming out of arcades and whatnot, filling out a game, making it last longer just through sheer difficulty alone, through the challenge of it. And games don't really have the arcade style, except for Mario games of recent years, but have lives anymore, like they do in Crash Bandicoot, where lives are like credits, putting credit into an arcade machine. So it's kind of the remnants of that era, that transition from arcade cabinets to sort of home entertainment. The same way it was with like even older consoles, such as like the NES and the SNES and whatnot. That kind of creating the arcade gaming experience at home, but still it had, even though you weren't shoveling coins into your Nintendo system at home, it still had that game design of being really difficult to increase longevity of gameplay, and that's what's kind of exactly. I agree with you what you said about Crash Bandicoot. It's hard, so you keep playing it.
Too
Exactly.
hard.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's so true.
Okay, well, moving on. Is there anything else in the news anyone likes to talk about before we move on to any other section or segment?
Let me see. Uh, Not that I know of.
Okay, all right then. Well, we can just move on to new releases. Does everyone have their list of upcoming
What?
releases
Uh,
in front of them?
mm,
Their chosen ones that we.
Yeah, I mean, I have to mention Patapon again. I mean, to those that haven't played it, play it.
That's me.
It's cheap and it has a platinum and it's really fun. So I mean,
Mm,
there's just no excuse. And I mean,
that's
the
me.
trophies, like I mentioned, are somewhat straightforward. It's basically a matter of playing through the campaign, grinding up gear so you get strong enough to beat a level 10 boss, that kind of thing, unlocking mini games by finding hidden secrets in certain levels. It's just, yeah, I mean, if people keep playing it, they will platinum it, kind of. So it's just a matter of putting in some time
Hmm.
and enjoying yourself while doing so. So
I never
definitely
played it
Patapon.
myself. I never played it the first time, like I say, the first time around, like when it was on PSP. I was kind of tempted back in the day, but I always left it. But I may pick it up one day if it's a game you say requires a lot of. Did you say it kind of is a bit grindy, if like leveling
It
up?
is, yeah. I mean, you're redoing missions over and over and over again. For instance, you go on a hunting mission to get meats, and you do that several times, and those change slightly depending on the weather. So if it's raining, the animals won't be able to smell you, that kind of thing. If the
Okay.
wind is is in a certain direction, they can smell you sooner or later, that kind of thing. So it
Uh-huh.
changes a little bit, but you have to keep hunting to grind meat, and you use meat to get more patapons or to sacrifice it to certain
If I'm
trees
honest,
and that kind
I
of thing.
didn't realize that game was that deep. I thought it was just a kind of rhythm game, and that was it.
No, it's
no.
sort of an RPG. I mean, yeah, you're controlling this tribe and making them stronger, and you're creating like there are three types of patapon, but there are several types of each type of patapon that have certain attributes and
Okay.
require certain materials to birth, as it's called.
Um,
And I mean, so you're basically getting gear and getting stronger and taking on more difficult bosses and fighting an opposing tribe, that kind of thing. It's deeper than you think. I mean, it's still overall a pretty simplistic game. It's a PSP game from 2007, but it's deeper than you might think just looking at it.
Hmm.
mm,
Okay. Well, another new game that came out this week, at least here on this list, is Demetrios, the Big Cynical Adventure. Is hitting PS4. I've
correct.
played it myself on PS Vita first. I platinumed it. It is a sort of old style PC style point and click adventure with this kind of art style that's like the, the kind of it looks like someone's hand drawn everything, but it's not say like the what's that game that you platinumed recently, Claire? I've also played it myself. The Little Acre, Little
Yeah,
Acre.
Little Acre, yeah.
Like so, it's not. I don't want to sound like I'm insulting them, but the art style is not kind of pretty like that. It's kind of more simplistic sort of type of art. It's hard to explain, but you'll
Uh,
wait. Just search for a picture of it and you'll see it. It's like
I'm
it.
look. I'm looking at it right now. It looks like if it's a hand drawn comic that you see every week or so.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
that's a good way of describing it.
yeah, it looks like like someone just the I'm looking at a screenshot right now. It's like one of the character portraits looks like it's from a still from a comic. It's
Mm.
just you can just describe it like that.
Yeah, sure. It's from what I can remember of it because it was a couple of months ago when I platinumed it. It's your pretty standard point and click kind of adventure. How to get random objects to interact with other random objects to progress you further in the game. I can't really remember the plot of it too much, but it's about a statue or something that the main character acquires by accident. Or he gets involved in a criminal sort of like criminal gang or something like that. Um, the reason I don't really remember it too much is I didn't actually really enjoy it that much personally. It was on sale for really cheap. I had a look at the trophy guide and thought, well, I'll give it a go for a platinum trophy, and I had a look through it, and by the end of it, I was just waiting for it to be over because it's not hard platinum, but it's just the game itself has just got tons and tons of text to scroll through, and just it wasn't really moving me. I found the main character to
It's
be actually quite annoying. Like you can't really relate to him because he's just I don't really have a way to say it, but he's just a bit of a dick really, and you just don't like him. So it's hard to kind of get behind him. It's kind of like that other point and click adventure that I played pretty recently. Just to go off topic really quickly, Claire, you played it as well. Deponia. It kind of
Oh
reminded
yeah.
me. Uh,
mm,
Deponia, you know how the main character in it is kind of not really likable.
It's kind of a douchebag, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same in Demetrius as well. He's kind of not really that likable. But anyway, if you want it for the trophies, go for it. I say, but I I would
I'm looking at the Platinum Guide here now on PlayStationTrophies.org, and they say it's about 4 to 8 hours with a 2 difficulty, 2 out of 10 difficulty, with
yeah, it's
38
very easy
trophies.
to do.
So,
But you
yeah.
have to. There's a lot of some of the trophies are easy to mess up because it requires you to find, like, for example, every single death in the game or do things that are completely off the beaten track. Uh, for example, so you definitely need a guide if you want to do it in one go. That's for sure. Um, I'm
mm,
just looking at the trophy list here as well, just trying to jog some memories for myself. But there's that's it, cookies. There's like an actual chocolate chip cookie hidden in every single screen of the game, and you have to find it by clicking on for Vita the touchscreen, and for PS4 I assume you move the cursor with the analog stick. Every single screen in the game has a tiny cookie hidden in it. Luckily, the guide I used had an image of every single screen to show where it was. Maybe they'll be the same in the PS4 version, and you could probably just use the Vita guide, um,
mm.
which is interesting. There's a couple of mini games in it as well, like racing worms and stuff. Uh,
It's a standard one. It's a standard point and click then. Mm.
yeah, that absolutely standard point and click. There's actually a trophy which spans the entire length of the game, but you have to deliberately you start off in your flat, and then you know the eventually you work your way back there, and you have to you have to leave the taps on in your apartment and flood your apartment, because while you're away playing the story of the game, you leave your apartment flooding. That's one that you definitely don't want to miss at the beginning, otherwise you'd have to play the whole game again just for one single trophy. But follow the guide and
It's,
you won't go wrong, to be honest.
seems
But
like it's a humorous game because it's mostly like mostly cynical. For when I'm just reading at the text from the screenshots, it's like mostly cynical, dark humor with a bit of a douchebag character with at the, he's not like interested at all, but just trying to find and conduct like an investigation or something. According to what I can see right now.
yeah, that's pretty much it. I didn't, like I said, didn't really enjoy it as a game. I just took a punt on it for the trophies. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes I discover a really good game that I really enjoyed and got a platinum trophy in the end as well. But this was one where it was a bit meh.
Yeah,
Uh,
luckily, some of these type of games have been pinned in our Discord here now under the hidden gems category. So there's going to be a lot of these type of games if you're looking for more of them.
If you're looking for an easy, cheap platinum, then fair enough. But if you're looking for this game to entertain you personally, it didn't entertain me. And I play a lot of point and click games on PS4 and PS Vita because I quite enjoy the genre, and generally they're easy trophies to get through. You can usually do them in one playthrough, but this for me probably not for me. But if it's I don't know if it ever was really cheap again on PS4, I'm not sure whether I'd play it through again. I don't know. Probably not. Didn't really enjoy it enough the first time to
Means it double stacks,
suffer.
does it?
Sorry.
There's a double stack then you were saying obviously if you'd replay it, that means you'd replay it with a different trophy
Yeah,
list.
it is because this is brand new and still on PSN profiles. it it just
Two.
describes the one I played as Vita. I haven't checked the new
I
one,
see.
but
Yeah.
it's been quite a while since it came out on PS Vita. I'm pretty sure it's a
Yeah, not many people have played it either. So, mm, like 50 owners, 63. Huh.
While Claire's checking that out, is there another game? Another upcoming games anyone wants to talk about?
Well, we have. I played the closed beta of this very briefly, but we don't know the trophies just yet. But we have a game coming out middle of next week, Lawbreakers, which I don't know. Have any of you played it at all?
The
No.
beta, no.
It's basically it's a game from Cliff Bleszinski, so the founder of Epic Games,
Hmm.
and it's sort of a um, yeah, anti-gravity shooter. So you can float around zero G almost, but very you move fast in zero G, but it's a certain areas of the game allow you to just float around. But it's a very fast-paced, almost Unreal Tournament type online shooter. It's an online only game, um, like half price if you will. I think it's like 25-30 pounds. I'm not sure what the actual price is. Um, but I mean, if people are looking for a very fast-paced Unreal Tournament type game with, well, God knows what trophies, Lawbreakers might be interesting. I mean, it seemed pretty fun from what I played. And the open beta, I think, is next week, so definitely one to check out if people are into that kind of thing.
If it's online only and it's multiplayer, you can imagine what the trophies are going to be like.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not a 4 to 8 hour platinum.
Reach level 50 at empty servers. Oh boy, oh joy.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's it for the upcoming games then section for this. I think we could move on. We've got a topic here regarding PlayStation Plus. Now, I suppose really this could have gone in the news, but we can just make this one little section here for now. Um, Firstly, let's just talk about the new games. Firstly, this announced for this month for August.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
Just Cause 3 was one of them. Personally, I'm not that interested in it. I tried Just Cause 2, and funny enough, that was on PlayStation Plus as well years ago on PS3, and
It was.
not really for me. And I also checked the trophy guide for it, and if going by the trophy guide, it's like a 10 out of 10 basically in terms of difficulty. At least that's what I read.
Well, I
I
have
may be
both.
incorrect.
I have both platinums. It's the PlayStation Plus has not been disappointing for me. It's just been like the last few months. I have all the games, so that's just a consequence of me buying a lot of games in sales or something like that, and not waiting until it comes to PlayStation Plus.
Okay.
I played Just Cause 3 when it came out. Now you were right. I got Just Cause 2 off PlayStation Plus on PlayStation 3, and that was one of those PlayStation Plus games that surprised me. It introduced me to a game I wouldn't play that I ended up loving. I remember I actually chose Just Cause 3, or sorry, chose Just Cause 2 as my 50th platinum. Now, so that's why I bought it pretty much a month or two after it came out. So I
I
already
did
got the
try it,
platinum of it
but
a week. Yeah,
it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't clicking for me.
I really liked that. I like the open world craziness of it. I really, really enjoyed it. But like,
Mm.
the
Well, I
platinum
mean,
is hard, but it's
Just
not.
Cause 3 had a couple of performance issues at launch, which is why
Mm.
I played for like 5 or 10 hours, and then it didn't run very well. But I believe all that's been patched, so it should be a pretty smooth
It is.
experience now. And I do think there's co-op multiplayer in the game now as well. So I mean, it might be
yes.
worth checking out just to mess around with some friends.
Mm.
And I
Uh,
mean,
Okay.
if you have Plus, why wouldn't you just jump in?
Sure. Okay. Well, the
which
next item on the plus lineup is Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry. That was the add-on DLC, was it not, for Black Flag?
Yeah, for Black Flag,
yes,
Yes.
standalone. So.
Yeah, I'm not an Assassin's Creed fan myself, so I can't really comment
uh,
on this, but it's a standalone DLC, I guess. So
mm-hmm.
if you're a fan, then get on it. Vec, I assume you're an Assassin's Creed fan because of your 1 recent
Yes.
platinums. Is this interesting to you, or have you played it
Uh,
previously?
I've not played Freedom Cry yet. I've yet to play actually 4 and Rogue. Yes, yeah. I'm trying to play it, but I will now, considering that now I can get Freedom Cry. Uh, I will play it. I'll say what I can do, but I feel seeing many people actually compliment on the chats and everything. Most people say like it's a bit of a grind, but it's not as long as the Rogue one, which is like 10 hours, and that is super long for as an Assassin's Creed game that's standalone. For I know,
In terms of trophies, though, it's not exactly a gold mine of trophies. It has a complete trophy count of 6, 3 bronze, 2 silver, and 1 gold. 3 out of 10
yeah,
difficulty, according to PlayStationTrophies.org.
Well,
So,
PSN Profiles is actually showing twice as many trophies for Freedom Cry.
mm,
really?
Yes, I wonder if there might be two different lists, one for standalone and one for just the
yes,
DLC. So the
Huh.
standalone probably just has more trophies because it has more trophy points in total for it.
Ah,
So, but yeah, there's still no platinum.
no.
However, judging by PSN Profiles, it is a fairly easy 100%. Obviously, you have to do the 100% synchronization like in every Assassin's Creed game, but I mean, almost
Yeah.
18% of people
Uh,
have it, so it's not doesn't appear to
I
be too
think
long,
you're
too
right.
bad.
Um, I think you're right, DK, about the standalone one. Looking at this trophy list here, 12 trophies, 9 bronze, 2 silver, 1 gold, 3 out of 10 difficulty, 4 to 6 hours to 100%.
Yeah, so that's not too bad. I mean, if you want to just some quick assassinations, I mean, 4 to 6 hours, is not
It
bad.
reminds me of
Wait a
Blood
minute.
Dragon.
46
Far Cry
hours
Blood
for the
Dragon.
100% game that doesn't have a platinum?
No, no,
yeah.
4,
Oh,
2, 6,
426. I thought you said
not
46. I
46.
was like, no way, man.
Yeah, it reminds me of Far Cry Blood Dragon, where a standalone DLC, but still really enjoyable. Didn't have a platinum, unfortunately, but I had a lot of fun with it when it was offered for PlayStation Plus. Um, back, was it last year or the year before? It was definitely within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to other PlayStation Plus. Those were the PS4 games. Technically, there is a cross-buy one, which we'll mention in a minute. Super Motherload on PS3. Can't say I
Not a
know anything about this game, to be honest.
it's
It's fun, but there's also no platinum. I have every trophy except for one of them. I think you have to complete the game more than once, which is why I never finished it entirely. But it's a fun. I mean,
Mm.
Motherload originally was a browser game. I remember playing this in school back in the day. So it's basically you're on the surface. You have like a base where you can get fuel and hand in your resources, and then you have a flying miner, I guess. So you're digging
Oh,
into
is it
the
one of
earth.
those digging
Exactly.
down
It's
games?
exactly. You're digging into your earth,
yep.
collecting minerals, collecting fuel, flying back
Ah,
up and handing in, buying fuel, going back down. It's that kind of thing. It's a very
yeah, I've
straightforward one.
played
I mean,
many of
it's
them.
fun, but again, no platinum, unfortunately.
Okay. The next game on the list here is Snakeball on PS3. Again, another game I don't know anything about, unfortunately.
I'm
Anyone?
gonna I am going to try it. Seeing it as nobody has ever played this game, it's super weird. When I was making the PS write up, one of the major things I noticed is that Snakeball didn't have an audience. There were like 2 or 3 reviews. One of them was like IGN, like it's like almost 10 years ago. And then when you realize it's like one of the few games from the PS3 lineup that didn't have any patches or any trophies for that matter, which was a real shock to me that they actually went this time around and picked that as a PS3 representative for this time.
Oh, you
So
mean
it's
in
a
PlayStation Plus? You mean a game with no trophies in PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, from let me see, it's like 2007,
That's
2008.
happened before. There's definitely been PlayStation Plus games in the past. I think, um, last year or the year before, they offered like the PSP version of Invisimals as
yeah,
part of
that was last year.
Oh yeah, I
which
forgot
was
about that.
really something. As that, I didn't even know what was going on.
Didn't they offer like a PSP version of Metal Gear Peace Walker or something like that as well?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
2007 game. Jesus.
Yeah, and trophies weren't introduced until late 2008. So
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, well, the next game on the PlayStation Plus for this month is crossed by PS Vita and PS4 is Downwell, and you mentioned that earlier, Beck. You've been
Oh
playing it
yeah.
right now.
That game is it's something really good. It was originally a mobile game that was ported to the PC and then ported to the consoles for PS Vita and PS3. I mean PS4. And playing it is very fun. I actually recommend it. Honestly, it's one of the few games that don't have a doesn't have a trophy guide, so nobody has written it. It's pretty good, and honestly, it's a good time killer if you want to play on your Vita, which is good. And I'm not sure if I checked, but I think it has cross save compatibility. I
I
am
hear it's
not sure.
tricky though. I hear it's quite hard. I've
It
heard people
is. It is
speak
very
of it.
difficult. I mean,
It is.
it has a platinum, but 2.69% of players on PSN profiles have a platinum.
Hmm.
And
So you
considering
know it's rare.
everyone on there is a trophy hunter, you can imagine the percentage on PSN is probably 0.1%. And yeah, it is very difficult. Even on the normal difficulty setting, it is very challenging. So you have to be
Hmm.
patient. You have to kind of just get good, and then just hope for the
Yeah.
best. Really.
Okay, well, final PS Plus game for PS Vita this month of August, level 22, and might as well say it. I've not any information on this game. I haven't looked into it, but probably should check
I
up the games.
Well, it
the
has
game.
21 trophies, but no platinum.
No,
Yeah.
22 trophies. It would have been. It would have been nine.
That would be the platinum, but no,
But
that
yeah,
works out.
they're all bronze, so they literally ran out of points.
What a shame. Well, anyway, keeping on the topic of PlayStation Plus, like I said earlier, this is probably better fitted in news, but it seems fitting here too. The increase of PlayStation Plus in the EU territories, going up by €10, £10. It already went up. Was it last year in North America?
It
Yeah,
did,
it
yeah.
It
did.
went up by $10.
Yeah, it was actually in the same time period, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Around this time, it rose like for $10, and no explanation was actually given. So I
Yeah,
don't
they're still
know.
being a little vague on this, and there's theories going around what it might be, but I don't really want to get into that particularly. But what I do want to talk about is the perception of value. Basically, value is
Um,
subjective,
I have
and
two opinions on it essentially. I was thinking that I have a personal opinion and I have a public kind of, well, not a public, but I have a general opinion on it that I hope everyone has because
okay, we'll go for it. Lay it down.
I think it's subjective, honestly, because to be honest, I find value in PlayStation Plus. A lot of people don't, but as a trophy hunter, I definitely do. It's it.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably as most of the guys in here in this podcast have, we have 200 platinums, and I can easily attribute 50 to 60 of those platinums to PlayStation Plus titles that it's
Mm.
given me, and not to mention all the sales that I've gotten off of it. So I also really like PlayStation. So me personally, I'm fine with paying the increase, but as a general core kind of thing that I want PlayStation to implement because they've upped the price, then I assume that we're literally going to get features or that the content is going to get better to satisfy other people. 'Cause I know I may be satisfied and I may have my own reservations. I may even think that it's still value at that price. I know other
Well, I
people
just want
don't,
to
but
say that like me personally, I am paid up until mid 2019. I've stacked a few subscriptions, and I got a good deal on Prime Day, and I'm good until like 6 months into 2019. But that aside, I would I'm fine with the increase because, as you mentioned, the discounts. Now, I'm not much of an online game player because of don't I don't really care for it unless the trophies require me to go online and get them. But the discounts, I really enjoy the discounts that we get. The little bit of extra off. So you have your standard big sale price, and then you get your extra 10, 20, what have you percent off of it as a PlayStation Plus member, and I really like that. And also, one also goes overlooked quite often, cloud saves. I cloud save everything while I'm playing it. So every time I finish a session, I just upload it because you never know what's going to happen. You can be putting the big games that we play, the 100 odd hours games that we do. All it takes is one little crash in the wrong place, and you can lose it all. And no, that cloud save, I know you can put a, I know you can put a USB drive in your PlayStation, and whatnot, but the cloud save is there. It's away from like you losing it physically. Like you can lose a hard drive, they can fail, they can be lost, they can be damaged. But if it's off somewhere in the cloud, it's reasonably safe. You know, you have a
Yeah,
copy of your precious hours of your life spent
I agree.
grinding out or doing whatever.
I
That's a good
agree.
that takes money to keep running. You know, cloud computing. So that's worth it. I'd say you're buying a kind of peace of mind, really, that your save file is safe off somewhere else. And I use it all the time. Always use it all the time. In fact, I'll give you a little story right now, really quickly. Um, when I finish a platinum game, I delete it and then I erase the save data because I don't think I'm ever going to go back to it. And recently, I then learnt that Horizon Zero Dawn's getting DLC, and I'm thinking, oh no, I've deleted my save. I want to play as my level 50 Aloy when I play the DLC. So I went back onto my cloud and I re-downloaded it because I don't clean my cloud out that often, just in case for these such occasions. And perfect, re-downloaded it, and now I've got my level 50 Aloy ready to go when the DLC comes out. So for me, that's pretty good value as well. Plus the multiplayer, plus the free games when they interest me. But I'm not one of those people that moan about the free games. To be honest, I can take it or leave them. To be honest, for me, it's the sales and the cloud saves, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, and the also another thing is that sometimes the bonus free game like that's you or something or exclusive beta releases. For
Hmm.
example, what Lawbreakers we already talked about. You can access it if I'm not mistaken with the PS Plus subscription, and if memory serves, sometimes it's all across the three platforms, so you can up not only upload your saves and also re-download them, but you also whatever you buy on those sales with that discount, you keep it.
Hmm.
Not the free games. You have to purchase them if you want to keep them for yourself,
Yep.
unless you just renew your PS Plus subscription because you would do that just to pay the $60 for a year to keep all those games you already downloaded.
I think
I
Well,
I'm fine with the value myself, and obviously you're fine with it. And I can understand people. I can understand it from the point of view of people who maybe have multiple platforms, someone who has an Xbox and a PlayStation, and then both shelling out, 40 to 50 on each to play online and use their games with gold services or PlayStation. I can understand it from that point of view, but someone like me whose primary console gaming platform, sorry, is the PlayStation ecosystem because I still use my free sometimes and I use Vita sometimes. And for it to encompass all three of those platforms as well is pretty good because um, you get your backwards compatibility with Xbox. They offer those games and some of their current games as well. And this is not a fanboying thing right here, but I'm just saying because it covers three platforms of the PlayStation ecosystem, the value is there for those who own the free systems. Of course, it doesn't apply to everyone, but as someone who owns all three, if one day there's a gem that appears in PlayStation Plus for free or for Vita, at least it's there and I can claim it. And even down the line, if you don't feel like games you want to play that month, you can always just add them to your library, and maybe in the future when you're going through a dry spell and haven't got anything to play that particularly interests you, you could look back upon your library and think, oh, you know what, I think I might give that a go, seeing as I haven't got nothing to play right now. So it's a good service, I feel, but I can understand the frustration of increase of costs and whatnot to the consumers.
Okay, I was about to say, funny that does mention that because when I bought a Vita for the first time, one of my dreadful things was just buying one game for that system. And PS Plus, I had it for at the time, so I when I immediately remembered, yeah, I remember I have a PS Plus subscription. Maybe I could just download some of the games. And one of the games was actually Binding of Isaac Rebirth, and my Vita became the Binding of Isaac machine, and I actually play it nonstop on that machine until recently I picked it up for Downwell, and really that service, PS Plus, even if you don't own a PS3 or a PS4 or a Vita, uh, getting it is good because you can stockpile on the games. You keep them on your downloads list. You can't play it because you don't have the system, but once you get the system, you now have suddenly a lot of games to play, and actually that's what helped me through the Vita. Now I know DK
Yeah.
was gonna say something
Yeah,
else.
sure. DK, what are you going to
Yeah,
say?
I mean, I'm gonna preface what I'm about to say with I used to work for PlayStation up until recently, so I haven't paid for Plus in years. Now, with that being said, um, the main thing for me about Plus has never been the free games. I mean, the free games are nice, and I mean, some people are going to argue they're not free. You're paying for your membership, which is fair. But the main thing for me, again, not the games, but the discounts, like that's mentioned. I mean, just I feel like the amount of money, and this is very individual, because if you don't spend money on the store typically, the discount doesn't mean anything to you, because you're saving on, you can get something you're not buying cheaper, which is not going to help you. But for me, I feel like every month I'm saving more on the things I'm buying that I'm paying for being a member of Plus, or that I would have been paying. Now I'm gonna, because I don't work for PlayStation anymore, I'll start paying for Plus like everyone else. But I'm saving more than I'm spending, and then you just the games suddenly just become an extra. So just the discounts are the main thing for me. If you buy things in the store, um, then it's definitely worth being on Plus.
Sure. Okay, that's it for this week of the Trophy Trust. We're all going to sign out and wrap up. You can find me on Twitter at the Dazil. Vec, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at dvectronic. You can also find me on the PlayStation Bros, where I write articles. Currently working on something pet project of mine, and on my YouTube channel that I'm trying to revamp, which is the Vectronic. I'll
Okay,
pass it.
Claire, where can people find you and what you do on socials?
Yeah, I'm always on Twitter at Clary Gaming, and I do a bit of trophy videos on YouTube.
I do recommend checking out Claire's Trophies videos on his YouTube channel. He did actually help me out with one of the games that I was had a little bit of trouble on. And DK, where can people find you?
I'm around on the Discord server, of course, and then on Twitter at DK Shadow.
Okay, Claire, have you got a little bit of information about the Discord server that we use?
Yeah, just in case people are listening to this through other means, we're recording this through Discord. I set up the Discord server quite a while ago, maybe just a bit over a year ago, and it's grown really, really well. The features that we've added,
Yes.
like the leaderboards and the kind of roles and some of the channels and all that, and of course this podcast here are all features of that kind of channel. I really, really enjoy it. I love the community of trophy hunters that are all in there.
Yep,
But
we're a growing community. It's getting bigger and bigger, and we're laying down more channels and doing more things. And the leaderboards is a fantastic effort as well. Everyone submits their platinums as they go, and at the end of the month, they're all tallied up into a monthly leaderboard. We also have a rarity one as well. Am I correct?
yeah,
Yes.
Void manages that. Also, a lot of people come back with the feedback saying it encourages them to try games that they've never tried because they see other members posting it. It also, like, it not really in a bad way, but it brings out a competitive nature as well. Some people try to
Sure.
get be the top person on the leaderboard and stuff like that. But in all around, like, it's just create a really, really good community.
Yeah.
Discord itself is growing probably faster than we as a server are growing, and they're adding new features all the time, and that's kind of allowed us to host this podcast here. So we didn't do it for this pilot episode, but for next week's episode, we will be doing it in a live audience. We're actually recording this in a channel at the moment through Discord, but that channel will be opened for anyone to come in and listen to us do the podcast. There'll
Yeah.
also be a dedicated text chat alongside it so they can
So
leave
yeah,
their
we will be
comments and stuff.
having indeed what you describe as a live audience. We'll be able to see people as they're chatting along to us and maybe get a little bit of interaction going. We'll
That's it.
see how that goes.
The
And
plan.
if
So
that's everything from everyone,
that's it.
yeah, we're all
Yeah, that's
good.
Yeah,
it.
Okay. Well, thank
definitely.
you very much for listening, and we will be here again next week. We've been the Trophy Trust. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye bye.